Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Loren LoRosa is here as well. And we got a special guest in the building. We got the good brother, Harold Wilkerson.
I don't think anybody gonna know who that is. They were like,
Harry-O, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, brother?
what's going on, E? What's going on, everyone? Thank you for having me. LL, Loren, what's up?
Harry-O got a new book called It's Beyond Words, which is out right now. Mm-hmm. And
Yes.
you talk about the art of calculated communication.
Yes.
What is that?
Great question. So the art of calculated communication. Let me just rewind a little bit for the room who may not know, or those who don't know in the room, that besides an entertainment executive, I'm also a college professor. And I've been teaching communication courses for maybe 12 to 13 years.
But
I
if you're
did
gonna
not
go
know
that,
that.
if you're gonna go that far, let's go all the way back then.
I had no
Yeah,
idea.
let's go all the
Yeah,
way
I
back.
didn't either.
You know, Harry-O was started off as a rapper.
Yes.
That's how
Okay.
I originally know Harry-O. He's from High Bridge. He's from the Bronx. He started
Yes.
off as a
My family
rapper
from there.
and was signed to the Ink.
Yes.
Signed to the Ink. You was a hype man for Ja Rule for many years, and then you stopped rapping. And now break it down. Well, first of all, how did you meet Irv and everybody, and go through that whole list of things?
Great question. So let me rewind, right? So first, I started the entertainment business. I had a deal with Uptown Records first, with Andre Harrell and everyone over there. God bless the dead.
My
So,
favorite label ever.
favorite, right? Best for R&B music. All right, so I was maybe like in 8th grade. So that went. Then I was working with Puff for a while.
Whoa.
Oh, that bad boy. Yeah. Listen, I know my guy's going through a lot, but I got to give him a lot of credit for helping me of where I'm at today. Like, I have to give him his credit because I probably wouldn't be here without the image of him, right? But
You can't take away what he did professionally.
and what he did for me in my life personally. He did a lot for me, and I tell you about it if I have time. Like, he stuck up for me plenty of times when executives tried to blackball me and things like that. Puff found out about it, step in, like, you're not doing that to my guy. So I got to give him his credit. So from there, we transitioned quick. I had to deal with Motown, then had to deal with Murder Inc., right?
How many deals did you have?
About 4 deals.
Okay.
Starting at 8th grade.
Starting in 8th grade.
Ooh.
Starting in 8th grade. Like, I've been doing entertainment for a long time. So now, fast forward, let me just tell you as far as me and Ja. I met Ja on the set of a movie called Turn It Up.
I remember turning it up.
Right? You're not going to remember me in the movie because they edited me out the movie. So you're not going to remember me. But you, if you look at the credits, you'll see me in the credits or whatever. So the movie was shot in Canada. So we traveled to Canada, right? I'm there with my manager. We're trying to get into Canada. My manager at the time, he gets arrested. For some reason, he can't get into Canada. You know how that goes. So now I'm young. I'm in Canada about to shoot this movie. I'm by myself. I'm a little nervous. So my trailer is right next to Ja's trailer. But I would always see Ja in the Violator office because we was working with Violator Def Jam, but we never really, knew each other. We saw each other, we passed. So I'm in the trailer, he knocks on my trailer door. So I open up, he go, yo, you signed a Def Jam, you signed a Violator? I'm like, nah, my guy, my son is, and we doing work over there. He go, man, I hear you here by yourself and your manager got arrested. Listen, anything you need, come to my trailer. If you need weed, if you need Hennessy, if you need anything, Ja has been trying to get me high since I met him.
Right.
But yeah, I don't do any of that. So from there, Ja and I had a connection. That was his first album, like right before his first album came out. After his album came out, he like blew up and took off, and my career was going wherever it was going. But anytime we would see each other, it would like we would stop everything and give each other love. And then I met Chris Gotti, Irv's brother, somewhere in the club, and he knew I did music. He said, listen, why don't you come down to the studio? Went to the studio, started recording records with Irv, records with Ashanti, records with Ja. The next you know, a brotherhood formed where although me and Ja came in through entertainment, that's more my brother. Like that's my guy. And I said before, my company, Chase Republic, we serve as like an independent agency for him. We close a lot of different deals like I do with you, E, and we'll talk about, made a lot of money together. But more importantly, that's my brother, that's my guy.
So now you get out of music, and music never takes off.
I see. You can look at it that way, right?
You tell me.
Well, I had to transition. I always say this, right? Somebody can ask you, like, how do you view success, right? So in your eyes, you may say, Harry-O, as an artist, wasn't successful. And that's fine. You can see it that way. I don't view it that way. I view it as I came in the entertainment business in 8th grade. I made a life out of it. I'm sitting here doing an interview on the Breakfast Club. I'm not a rapper. I'm not
I always known you as an executive. Like that's how I always looked at Harry O as an exec. I never even knew anything about no rap career.
Like the E being a DJ,
I know
it's been plenty of times where like I would have to wait for E outside of the radio station, try to get music played. Like we have that relationship. You and I met later on in life as being an entertainment exec. It's the same thing with Loren. Like you and I met, first conversation I had with you, it says, listen, I could possibly make some money with you, right?
Yeah.
And that's how it went. But E just knows a little bit of the backstory.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so it all depends on how you want to look at it as far as like you're not being successful. But listen, I made a life for it. My daughter, listen, I paid her tuition through entertainment. Do you understand? Her private school tuition, which we all know is very expensive, all through entertainment. So someone asks, hey, you weren't successful. I don't know. I wouldn't say that. I say I think I'm pretty well.
Oh, you probably about to ask this. Then I'm interested to know, so from the artist perspective, then you transition into the executive side because of the relationships. And what is that transition? Because you started at 8. An executive is an adult making real adult decisions.
Right. Well, it's two folds to it, right? As I said, I've been a college professor teaching communication courses. Now, with communication, I understand the art of connecting with others. But first, connecting with yourself and what we talk about. Once I understood and fully came of who I am, a higher sense of awareness of me, I understood my abilities. I understood how I can build relationships. So I just started to build and form credible relationships with people, building trust, but in a strategic way, not in a manipulative way, just very strategic. And like I can talk a lot about me and Envy because Envy and I made some money together and our relationship built, and I was intentional on how we're building our relationship. So what I did was I just merged the world between entertainment and education and made a life.
So what is the art of calculated communication, and how has that helped you navigate through all those different worlds?
So the art of calculated communication, and to make it short, because we can talk about this all day, but what I would do is this, right? Say with Loren, for instance, right? I met Loren at the Brooklyn Nets event. Now, you said, hey, Lauren's on her way here. Can you send somebody to get her in? Immediately, I'm like, all right, I know who she is. I absolutely know that we can probably do business with her.
Loren was 2 hours late, by the way.
First of all,
I wasn't going to say
driving to Brooklyn is like driving to another planet, okay? And it was raining.
They do call it
All right.
Brooklyn for a reason.
But what do
3
I always
hours
do?
late.
I will pull up for y'all,
3 hours
late or
late.
not.
So we had an event in the Barclays Center for the Brooklyn Nets, which are one of my partners, and I hired E to do different events. So E, while we're there, he's like, listen, Lauren's on her way. Can you send somebody to get her? You know how difficult it is to get someone inside the Barclays Center when it's closed?
Yeah.
Like it's really closed at this point. But I understand I have to be a little bit strategic. I want to build a relationship with this, young lady and possibly do business. So we send an executive to go outside and figure it out to get her in. Now, as she's in, I understand it takes more than one encounter for us to start building some type of relationship. But we have to have that first encounter. It has to be a genuine encounter. It has to be maybe someone can help build that bridge between you and I. And I use June. June, Envy's manager, whoever's listening. I said, June, do me a favor. Let her know, stamp me, right? Let her know. So June went to you and said, hey, Harry, this is my guy. That's all I needed to start building some type of communication with you. Now, to make it a little bit shorter, in order for Loren and I to build a relationship, I have to get her to peel back her layers. I have to try to get to know her. The closer I get to her, the more of a chance I have of doing great business with her. I just can't pick up the phone and say, hey, I have a bunch of deals for you. She doesn't even know who I am yet. We have to build trust. So I have to get her to peel back layers. I have to ask her questions. But if she never responds, like say if I say, hey, as simple as this, Loren, how was your day today?
Great so far, besides dealing with Charlamagne. But other than that, amazing.
I'm the best part of her day.
Best part of the day. What are your plans tomorrow?
We have a flight. We're going to LA for the BET Awards, me and the team at the Breakfast Club.
Wow.
Well, not them, but the producers and stuff.
You have a lot of work at the BET Awards?
We do. The latest with LoRosa is in the radio room for the first time ever for 2 days.
Pretty cool. Congratulations. I love that. Now, check this out, right? So I would have to work a little bit harder now with Loren because although I asked her these questions, and I know we're on air, there's a lot going on, I asked her how was her day, right? And she said how her day was. She didn't say, how was yours too?
Oh, shoot.
Right?
Sorry.
So that's
I was anticipating the next question.
I know. No, it's fine. I'm interested in knowing about her day, but I want to see how much interest she's holding in me to know about me as well. And sooner or later that will come. This is maybe our second encounter. But if I can't get you to have that exchange with me, I have to work a lot harder and be more strategic and to get you to communicate with me. And if you never do that, it's like, all right, this person doesn't have any interest in building with me in this area.
I think also too in business, I've never had a business interaction where my first thought is to say, how was your, like most people come to you just like, so like, this is what I want, this is what I need. So you just kind of sit and listen and then you try and think through, can I even do that with everything else I have happening?
And that's the problem with communication, where I don't want any communication with anyone to feel transactional. Mm-hmm. And I'm only using Envy as an example because we made some money to get me through business. Mm-hmm. Envy and I have a relationship where Envy will call me at 5 o'clock in the morning and we're talking about dance. Mm-hmm. We're not even talking about business. We're talking about dance. He's like, yo, do you do this with your daughter? You look at these classes. Check this out. How did it get there? It got there through strategic communication and connecting and building. If every time I see E is just, hey, I got A, you got B, sooner or later, if I don't have A anymore or I'm in a downside, I can't get E to really pick up my calls because we don't have a connection, if I'm making sense here.
Yeah, you are making sense, but I will say, I hate small talk. Mm-hmm. Right, so when I heard that conversation with you and Loren, I'm like, okay, what does he want?
That's what I was thinking too.
You know what I'm saying? I'd rather you just get to it. Right. And I don't think there's anything wrong with transactional conversation. Like, you know, if you have something to offer me and you think that I'm a person that can help you execute something, bring it to the table. That's intentional conversation.
Mm-hmm. Now, here's the thing. That may work in your professional world. Mm-hmm. It may not work in your personal life, though. Because communication, listen, to understand communication will be the key to your professional and your personal life. That may be okay for your business relationship, but not every personal relationship, not somebody that's just trying to build a genuine friendship with you, don't want it to feel transactional.
So that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to build a personal relationship with Loren.
Well, for me, my success comes when I'm building a relationship with a person where we have some type of friendship.
Got you.
If we have some kind of friendship, like we don't have to talk at 5 o'clock in the morning, but if we have some type of connection, some type of friendship, is a higher ratio that we can do great business together.
I think there are some people that would argue against that though, because I mean, I think too, it's kind of like the background that you have, like knowing the type of like music and era that you come from, you value that, but a lot of people don't have values today. So it's like, I don't want to be your friend. If we're going to do business, we'll do it. And then we determine what that looks like after.
I will say this though, the one thing for people listening, to me, Harry O is like Steve Stout, right? And when I say like Steve Stout,
that might not be a good thing for some people.
No. Well, let me tell you reason. I'm going to tell you what part of Steve Stout I mean. He connects businesses to people, to talent.
Okay. Yeah.
So for instance, he had one of his clients was East New York, which was a show that was on out of Channel 9 or whatever it was. And he called me one day and was like, E, I have a part for you in this show. I'm like, bro, I'm not acting. I've taken acting lessons a long time. He was like, nah, I really want you to read the script and try it, right? And I'm like, because of our relationship, I was like, you know, let me give it a shot.
Right.
And when I did it, it went well. They loved me. They wanted to bring me back for more episodes. But what impressed me more was, you know, I know Harry O from a street rapper, like from the Bronx, like gangster rapper. So, but to see him being a guy that's in the middle of East New York and me, we're in the trailer, but he's teaching a class in the middle of me shooting as a professor. And I'm like, this is amazing because you see how people evolve. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't evolve. A lot of people still want to be the toughest, hardest rapper at, you know, whatever age, and it just doesn't make sense. And I appreciated that. I'm like, because he revolved. But that relationship, like you said, was the reason why I trusted you to try East New York.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And to Lauren's point, listen, when we're discussing communication, Charlotte and everyone, it's all theoretical. Like what I'm saying may not work with you or resonate with you. Right? It just happens that it resonates with me, and it's been proven to be successful for me. And like I said, I'm glad he mentioned that, because he is a testament to what I'm saying as far as how we built this relationship where it's trust. I call him and say, Envy, I'm going to put you on TV. Is a network. We're doing this cop show. Want you to act in it. All right, cool. After we discuss whatever the logistics are, he doesn't even have to think anymore, because he's like, you know what? I trust Harry O. But we built our relationship to that point, and I was intentional about that.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, to establish a real connection, I think to establish a real connection, there has to be some form of real communication.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think guard, too, depends on, because, like, there are certain times where, like, if people approach me to do certain things and they say that they've worked with Charlamagne or Envy, I'll call them and say, hey, do you know this person? Like, is it, because nowadays, too, because I turn to this chapter or page in your book, you talk about, like, the influencer, you talk about like media being the beauty and then the beast being society, because of the way that things are distorted or like shown online with people in business, you never know what's real and what's fake. So it's like you gotta kind of like hold up what you want before you even be like, let me allow you to enter what I've worked on.
Right, absolutely. And for me, it's building your reputation. I'm not sure if you heard the saying, people meet your reputation before they meet you.
Yeah.
Right, your reputation, my reputation is in this room before I walked in. That's the only reason I was able to get it. So I know building my reputation, that's a form of knowing how I connect with myself, knowing how I see me and what I project for others to see. And if my reputation is solid, people will vouch for it. So yes, absolutely. And I mentioned media and manipulation in the book as well, which is really, really important. And if I have some time, can I touch on it?
Of course.
All right. Because in the book, I brought up Shine in the book, and the shooting that happened X amount of years ago. And this is really important that I don't want it to seem as like I'm poking a hole at Shine or picking at wounds, anything like that. Now, Shine was arrested for what? Like, what did he get arrested for? What did he do time for? So it was
assault or something, or shooting a gun.
Look it up.
Okay,
discharging a illegal firearm.
I just want somebody else to say it. That's all. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I believe. Discharging a illegal firearm, I think it was.
All right. So what happened? Meaning, what led him to do that? And it's not only that Shine that had these issues, or that had these issues. A lot of young people in our hip hop culture had these issues. Now let me connect it to media, manipulation, and representation. Media, how we describe it, is any way you receive information, any way you receive thoughts, right? So it could be the movies you watch. It could be the music you're listening to. So if you are young and you're not understanding exactly who you are yet, you're not connecting with yourself, but every time you see you, it's in the wire. It's on these shows, of these criminal shows. All the music you're listening to is telling you who you are. You have to be this, you have to be that. All of these images in media creates a distorted image of who you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
But that distorted image can cause a real life consequence for you. So when I look at somebody like Shine and others, and I can recall like Shine saying, and the reason why I brought it up, because I was there, like I was there for this whole thing. I remember Shine saying to someone, I'm not gonna mention the person's name, but he said, I need people to see me and respect me the way they respect Jay-Z, right? And it's like, all right, but what you know of Jay-Z is...
Yeah, you don't get that from busting your gun.
But something manipulated him to feel that way, right? To do that. So, but it's all about what he's seeing in the media, and the music you're listening to, and the TV show you're watching. All of this is polluting how you feel about you and who you think you have to be. I have to be this. I need you. No, I'm not Rick Ross, the officer. I'm Rick Ross. I need you to see me like that. But all of that is manipulating you, and if you're not understanding who you are, it's gonna cause a real life consequence for you. And that's what happened with Shine. So, like when I look at you, right, this is the brown girl grinding, right? It's important that I brought my daughter here today to see what we see in this box. What we see, this is a beautiful brown sister who bullied her way onto the show, who's making noise, making moves. She's covering the Diddy trial and she's killing it. Her outfits are crazy in a good way. What I mean, crazy in a good way. Crazy in a good way. I know it. I know it.
Look at you.
Crazy. Harry got me. Now he really got me.
He
I like
wait
what he's
to pour
saying.
cocaine in my flowers. Like, please relax.
So I'm buying 10 books now.
So no, and as we're viewing her in media, we're looking at her. This image is important because a brown girl is watching and seeing that, and that reality is something that she can obtain. And is something that's authentic. Outside of that, it can cause a disruption, if you understand what I'm saying.
So now I got to ask, you were with Murder Inc. for a long time. How was the passing of Irv have affected you? Because you know Irv in and out, and we've had conversations about it and conversations about his health. So how has that affected you?
Well, with the passing of Irv, it's still like in disbelief, right? When I'm talking about Irv or we're up in conversation, to say, like, all right, rest in peace, Irv God. Like, it's really weird still. Now, the passing of him, I see how it affects me and everyone around. Like, I am very, very, very close with Ja, right? And Irv and I were really cool, but I'm closer with Ja. It affected me because, in this way, no one may not know this outside of his family. Irv is such a family man, right? I have never seen a family as close as his in my life.
Wow.
I've never seen it. So, and he was like the hero of the family. And no disrespect to anyone else in the family that's doing great things, but he was like a hero. And so for the hero to pass and see how that affects the family dynamic, it made me, how it affects me, it made me become closer with my family. Like Irv is the type where, listen, if it's holidays, his house is packed with the whole family, not just him and the kids. It's nieces, it's nephews, it's aunts and uncles. It's like 30 people running around his house. And it was just a loving family. A lot of people didn't see that side of him. You see Murder Inc., you see the music, or you see the problems with the 50 Cent or whatever, so on and so forth. But the guy was an amazing family man. And to watch that, and as a father, yeah, it affects me, because like, I want to be closer with my family the way Irv is with his family. So that's how I would say it affects me.
You know, it's interesting when you talk about the art of communication. Like, I like the way Irv communicated. It may have rubbed some people the wrong way, but I like it because it's direct. Like when we talked about how, you know, it was intentional. He wasn't the small talker. It was, this is what we doing, this how we doing it, this how I think it should go.
Right.
I like that.
No, listen, absolutely. It's something to be admired there. Everyone has different strategies on how they communicate. Irv being direct may work for him with certain people, but I'm quite sure it didn't work with everyone, right? But so it all depends on what your style is. And I was thinking about something. Yeah, some people don't like small talk, and that's fine. Like in the book, I mentioned a term called farming and hunting. Those are different ways of nurturing a relationship. When we're cutting the small talk out, I'm hunting. I know exactly what I want. I know what you have. We know we can make that work. But every relation doesn't work like that. Sometimes we have to farm. We have to plant seeds. I don't know where the relationship may go, but I know we can possibly build. So I'm going to plant seeds. Then we just water the seeds. And next thing you know, we're eating off the fruit from the seeds. And it's really important. Yes, I'm an entertainment executive. So all we're talking about is how these theories affect in business. It's in your personal life as well. If a young man is trying to get to know a young lady or vice versa, it's ways you go about that. You have to be intentional. You have to be strategic. Yes, what is your goal by dating this woman? That's transaction. Cut the small talk. It doesn't work like that in your personal life, right? You have to farm. Your daughter is seeing someone, your oldest daughter. They're not engaged in nothing like that.
No,
right? All right, I'm sorry.
She's 23. She's 23.
Right. But that young gentleman, he had to farm the relationship with Madison, right? He had to farm. It wasn't a transactional or hunting relationship. It doesn't work like that. He had to be intentional. Farm, plant seeds, whatever those seeds are, check up on it, know her birthday, know her dad's birthday, so on and so forth. So farming and hunting are two different ways of building a relationship.
And you talk about the difference between intrapersonal and interpersonal.
Oh, yes. So the first form of communication, the most important form, is your intrapersonal, I-N-T-R-A. That's the conversation within. That's right. How you see yourself. How do you connect with yourself? What do you think about yourself? How do you evaluate yourself? If you can't evaluate, if you don't possess the ability to self-evaluate, then you're at a disconnect with you. So everything how I feel and think about me, that's my intra, will depict my my interpersonal relationship. So you know, Charlamagne, you say something that hurt people. You say that a lot, right? It's something internally that's at a disconnect. So since they're at a disconnect internally, they're at a disconnect externally with others. So when you understand who you are in your intra and you reach in the highest level of who that person is, you understand who you are, you understand what you can do, and I understand how to connect. I can connect with others better because I connect with myself at a certain level. So intra depicts how your inter will turn out.
You also talk about in your book hip hop and how it shaped you as a man, both good and bad. How does that speak to your communication?
Wow. All right. So yes, hip hop, it aided me on a path to self-actualization of being the man who I am today. And I mentioned this in the book, and I'm gonna give the gentleman credit where I heard the term, and I tell you, yes, hip hop got me on this path. But I have to have accountability and understand that also some of that content in the music could have caused a self-destruction, some form of self-destruction, like some of the artists I was mentioning. In the book, I mentioned, are we the heroes or are we the villains? And I heard this term through it was a TED Talk by the guy Lecrae, and we're gonna make a documentary about it. Salute to him. Yeah, salute to him. So I want to give him his credit. He mentioned hip hop. Are we the heroes or are we the villains? Are we? Reason why I mention this, yes, I'm a child of hip hop. I have to credit hip hop for taking me where I am. But also there's things in the music that's villain-like that can cause you on the wrong destruction, wrong path. We glorify the person that's coming home from jail before we glorify the person that's going away to college, right? We do a lot of that in this music. So are we the heroes or are we the villains? Now, what's the difference between a hero and a villain? A hero has the same attributes as a villain, but a hero becomes a person becomes a villain through trauma. Some type of trauma can make you become a villain. You look at anything in nonfiction or fiction, Batman, his parents got killed and he became this. If you seen the Joker, something happened, he became a villain for these reasons. What turned hip hop music villain-like? The crack epidemic. The crack epidemic, as far as in my theory in this documentary we're shooting, the crack epidemic shaped and destroyed hip hop music into the way where it turned into more villain-like in the music and the content that's in it. So are we the heroes or are we the villains? I understand that hip hop made me a hero, but I also understand some of it could have made me a villain as well.
In my last book, Get Honest or Die Lying, Why Small Talk Sucks, I have a whole chapter with basically the same thing. I'm just exploring hip hop's ability to be a positive and self-destructive force.
Listen,
like literally, like I think that if you're a certain age, at some point we got to have some accountability.
At some point, I'm glad we feel the same way, because at some point you have to have accountability. I'm never disrespecting my hip hop music. It made me who I am.
Yep.
But yes, there are images. It's things that we put up on a pedestal. If we don't have accountability, we are causing poison if we don't know how to steer that ship in the right direction.
But is it also how it's cultivated, right? And the reason I say that is, if I put a gun on the table and you use a gun, that could be a negative thing. But if I teach somebody how to use the gun the proper way and the right way and what to use it for, it's a positive thing. Same thing with hip hop, right?
Yes.
Hip hop, all those images we've all seen, all seen. But my parents, especially my dad, cultivated me to look at things a certain way. I never sold crack. I never sold drugs. I never used coke or crack or nothing like that, because my dad cultivated to me to like, no, this is what this is for. These are messages from here, but that's not you.
Yeah.
Don't make that you.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it's two different sides.
Get it. It's all
same,
about
same
how
thing
you
with your daughter. Your daughter dances. She listens to hip hop music, and I'm sure she might dance to some stuff that's a little salacious. But you tell her this is cool for this, but that's not you.
Listen, and there's a job. Like you just said, your dad was there. Like I always say, you know how you take a kid bowling and they got to put the barriers up so the ball can go down? That's what parents are, right? We are the barriers, and we need both.
That's right.
We need both, because you can have one parent and that ball can still gutter that way, right? We are the barriers to keep the kids going forward. So your dad was that to let you know, like, yeah, this is what the world is, but that's not what's good for you. Listen, there were times, my daughter dances, she dances to hip hop, and she's not gonna remember this. We're getting in the car, and I wouldn't play no hip hop in the car at all, none whatsoever. When she was younger, when she was maybe 4, 5, 6, it's not gonna be certain shows on TV. No disrespect to any of the shows, but certain shows wouldn't be on television, because I'm trying to shape her mind to see a certain way. Now we can listen to certain music because I see that the barriers are working. I see who this young lady is. So yeah, we can listen to hip hop, and I'd rather her listen to Drake than over some other artists. But yeah, we have to be those barriers, because in hip hop we could be the heroes or we could be the villains. That
is a fact. Seductive Communication, you leave that chapter blank in the book.
Yeah.
Why? It just says to be continued.
Right. So when I first wrote the book, I wrote the book in 2020 during the pandemic when I started. Now, as a college professor, there's different chapters in the book, right? So I'm gonna answer your question quickly. We start off with intrapersonal communication, the conversation within. So if I'm teaching a class and it's the first day of the semester, and I say, all right, Charlotte, welcome to my class. Did you take any communication courses before mine? And you may say, yeah, I took a leadership and communication class. I'm like, that was your first communication class? Communication should be taught with prerequisites in a certain order, right? So the first order is intra. Then I go into inter. Then I speak about culture and communication. I speak about media and communication, power and leadership. I'm taking you on a journey. Seductive communication is sort of like the final level of the book on how you use seduction to communicate. Mm-hmm. And not seduction in the sense of a sexual form, just knowing how to seduce someone's mind to navigate in a certain way. And the reason why I left it blank, because there has to be a part 2 to the book now. Come on. Got to be a part 2 to the book.
Now, as a professor, right, you know, I look at college courses as sometimes outdated.
Yes.
Right? And that bothers me a lot, especially with my kids, you know, going to college, because a lot of things that they want to learn or that they're into, a lot of times these colleges don't necessarily teach, right? Mm-hmm. My first major was communications. I left communications and went to business management and marketing. But for me, what I wanted to learn for communications wasn't helping me with what I wanted to do, right? Communications was a lot of reading, a lot of intro, a lot of this, a lot of that, but I wanted to be hands-on with this stuff like that. So talk about some of the courses that you think should be in college and some of the things that should be taken out of college.
Right. That's great. Because
no disrespect, a lot of the algorithms that I learned in college, I don't use, I've never used, and if I have to, I have a computer that will do it for me.
Absolutely. Now, it's 2 parts I want to get into. Now, some of the courses that are in college, I have to be really careful because I'm still a college professor, and I don't want the college to be listening right now. So I do believe there should be more entrepreneur courses in college. We're going to need AI courses in college. We're going to need real estate courses in college. You're going to need these things in colleges. Now, I believe certain colleges are doing it.
Yes.
Ja Rule's son, shout out to Jordy, he just graduated from SCAD in Atlanta.
That's Savannah.
Savannah, yeah, I'm sorry, Savannah. And he was home for his sister's wedding, and we were in the kitchen at Ja's house, and he was saying how all these different courses that he's taken that it was never available to me as a student. Mm-hmm. So some of the courses that we're talking about, like we've been removed from college for a little bit. Mm-hmm. Some of these colleges are doing that, like teaching him how to code. He can build games. He can do all the things that I would never even thought
that's
of.
Art school. I know because my daughter's been talking about. That's the one school she's looking at.
But like even when Ja talks, he's like, "Listen, I visited the campus," and I'm like, I've never seen a school like this. So yeah, I do think we need those particular courses. Now, let me just rewind as far as like a communication course. I mentioned in the book, I credit Eddie Murphy to one of the reasons I'm here today in the movie Boomerang. Mm-hmm. Like Boomerang is one of my favorite movies you've seen. Like he was a marketing executive. Mm-hmm. He garnered so much attention from women. He was smart. He was everything. I'm watching this, and this goes back to my representation. I'm watching this movie. I'm like, I want to do that. Mm-hmm. I want to know how to do that. Mm-hmm. So I was in college at the time. So I went to my counselor. I said, listen, in this movie, this guy Eddie Murphy played Marcus Graham. He's a marketing executive. How do I get into marketing? She said, well, you need to understand what communication is to understand what marketing is. I said, well, sign me up for all communication courses. X amount of years later, I'm doing marketing strategies for my own company. Mm-hmm. So I needed that course. I needed these courses to be able to do what I'm doing now.
Gotcha. Well, tell them where they could get this book, brother.
You can get the book on Amazon, right? If you're listening, you can just type in Harold Wilkerson. If you type in Harry O, nothing's going to come up.
A lot will come up. It'll be a bunch of y'all. But you was homie from Death Row.
Right. People always make that mistake too, but that's a different story. Yeah, but you can get the book on Amazon in the search engine. Just put in It's Beyond Words by Harold Wilkerson. And it'll pop up. So please get the book. And one of the lessons I want you to understand and learn, like to leave it off, I close deals with the WNBA and I close deals with the NBA for going over six or 7 seasons now. And it all started for me attending one basketball game. I attended a game, and it went from the person who handed me my ticket to go sit on the floor, and through strategic and intentional communication, I started closing deals with the CEO of the New York Liberty, the CEO of the Brooklyn Nets. Like it went from attending, like how do you attend a game and then fast forward, you closing deals with the owners and CEOs of WNBAs and NBAs, and you hear all that if you pick up the book.
All right. Harry O, ladies and gentlemen, pick up the book. It's Beyond Words, available now.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you. Do I get like the whole thing when they be like, yo, tomorrow I'm going to be on the Breakfast Club?
Yeah,
Like,
they
you
gonna
know,
do all that. Yeah,
after.
yeah, and all
We'll do
that.
that after.
Yeah,
Can we close out the show first?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's Harry O. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.